Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Rodan. And today, as you can see, I'm still continuing my Disney movie marathon where I'll be talking about the movies, of course, TV shows, theme parks, I don't know, whatever the case may be. So here we go, of course. So I just figured I would just revisit an animated movie I've already reviewed. I discussed this movie quite some time ago, so I just thought I'd just return to it. And of course, it's Raya and the Last Dragon. I know this is definitely one of those few Disney princess movies I don't really talk about all that much. Not really. And I mean, I do like the idea of it. I mean, I do appreciate the fact that Disney was definitely doing some kind of representation and be inclusive, of course. And at least to the movie's credit, at least it's not a remake. It's not something that was already existing in any kind of form. So I'll give them that. Did like the fact that they were the people behind this film. I mean, were definitely trying to create a film. Is visually pleasing. I'll say that it has lots of rich colors, and I did like how the colors, the designs, basically everything, all the visual elements of the movie is nice to look at. There's so much detail, there's so much color in which it makes the film feel more richer in some ways. And I do appreciate the fact that the character designs, basically everything. This entire world was inspired by some culture, and basically everything is supposed to represent said culture and the colors. Again, not just the colors, but also the designs of the clothing, the environment, stuff like that. I thought that was a really nice touch. From what I can recall, is that it's definitely something in regards of how this film intentionally draws from a blend of South Asian cultures, and discussing it can actually be a good way to highlight the richness and diversity of these traditions, of course, which I do think can be helpful if done correctly, of course. From what I can gather, is that Raya and the Last Dragon is primarily influenced by various South Asian cultures, of course. And yes, I have to get a bit more specific when it comes to these cultural inspirations, of course. And the landscapes, something like that, the rice paddies, the forest environment in the film, this represents of like Vietnam's natural beauty. When it comes to the forest and what the design of some of the characters and costumes also draw from a traditional Vietnamese attire, I believe. If I'm recalling that correctly. And also, not on top of that, Indonesia is throwing out some kind of way because the structure and some of the mythical elements of the film also do reflect these kind of Indonesian culture influence as well, including elements seen in Indonesian folklore, which is fine. Of course, I do like that. Kind of like I was saying, blending some elements together. That's really good. Thailand, oh yeah, those certain character designs and setting that take cues from Thai culture, including some elements of traditional art and architecture. If I'm pronouncing that right, excuse me if I'm butchering it, folks. But yeah, it's like a blend of these kinds of stuff that's thrown in there, obviously. So there's that, I reckon. But yeah, I do think that definitely is a good thing to add several different cultures into one movie. Of course, having a blend. Of course, Legos and Cambodia. If I recall that correctly, the film also does incorporate aspects and some things from these cultures as it, uh, I guess, as it blends that into some kind of element of spiritual ward kind of a thing thrown in here, which is fine. I like that. I definitely do like that. Oh yeah. But anyway, oh yes, from a visual standpoint, the film is outstanding. Okay, the visual standpoint, that alone, I can definitely say it looks phenomenal. Okay, It's so rich in detail. The movements of the characters are very smooth and whatnot. Not that I was expecting any less than that because this is Pixar and Disney we talk about here. So at least that in the front would definitely be a great thing. I would absolutely say that. Oh yeah. So I'm not going to discredit the film for having great visuals and for having an attempt to have diversity, and I'll give it that. Okay, I would definitely give it that, of course. So, but the thing is that many viewers and critics did have a mixed reaction when it comes to Raya and the Last Dragon, and some point out that its strengths and weaknesses, of course. And as I was saying a moment ago, excuse me if this is coming off repetitive here. Yes, the visuals, the animation is widely praised for its stunning visuals, featuring vibrant colors, lash landscapes, as mentioned a moment ago, and these character designs that reflect a blend of Southeast Asia cultures, Southeast Asia to be more specific, I guess you would say, from those cultures over there. The themes in this film, in which the film does explore themes such as trust, unity, and the importance of working together to overcome challenges, whichever may be, of course, which may be found compelling and relevant in a lot of ways, and that's fantastic. I will definitely say that I'll give it that, folks. It's just that I felt like this could have. I do believe that this film could have been a lot more than what was represented in some ways, because some of the critiques I can say about this film is that yes, I did feel that the story felt maybe too it moved too quickly. Of course, it felt way too quickly when you think about it. So leading to a lack of depth in character development and emotional impact, the important plot points maybe I guess concede making it hard for the viewers to feel fully connected with the characters and their journeys. And of course, yes, obviously, there's going to be a message, which in itself is fine. There's nothing inherently wrong with having a message in the movies. This is Disney Pixar we're talking about, of course. While the film does represent a positive message in more ways than one, I guess positive messages about trust and, of course, getting along, which in itself isn't necessarily a problem, folks. I don't mind having messages, positive messages, and not in a toxic way, but having positive messages. Because for one, yes, positive, toxic positivity is a thing, but thankfully this film is not like that really. I don't mind. Again, I do not mind having positive messages, as I was saying a moment ago. Trust and getting along, it's fine. That's not the issue. What is the issue? What's done with it? Some critics argue that it oversimplifies a complex thing. Okay, multiple issues, I should say. This film oversimplifies complex issues, which the film does, unfortunately, especially towards the end of the movie. The revolution may seem overly optimistic, given the real world challenges associated with trust and division when you think about it. And that's kind of the thing with this movie. There was these two women who were fighting each other. And yeah, I know that's the whole thing when it comes to forgiveness. Of course, I think forgiveness is a thing as well. Of course. But a lot of it felt rushed. His critiques do highlight the complexity of storytelling in an animated movie, especially when it comes to blending multiple different cultural influences, as I mentioned a moment ago, because even that felt it was wasted because why does blend in multiple different Southeast Asian cultures, but it ultimately feels like there was nothing really explored at all. It is important to recognize that both artistic advances, of course, and the narrative aspects that might not resonate well with audiences and whatnot. So I guess this kind of observation can reflect a broader conversation about the balance between visuals and storytelling in animation. It just comes off that people behind this care more about the animation than anything else. I'm just saying, folks. I don't know, maybe just me, I suppose. I guess I'm just going to give some nuanced critiques of Raya and the Last Dragon because, yeah, as many viewers had pointed out certain things when it comes to this animated movie, pretty much regarding the balance between visuals and storytelling, of course. So, okay, that was definitely a thing, obviously. Like I was saying a moment ago, pacing and writing. This is one of the biggest issues I have with this. Of course, pacing and writing because a lot of it rushed and glanced over. And again, this is not a smear campaign against princess movies. Okay, I don't mind princess movies. I'm fine with princess movies. If Disney wants to make a bunch of these more, sure, by all means, go for it. I I'll say go for it. If you want to make more princess movies, go ahead. I do not mind. Anyway, but let's just say just going on from that, of course. Yes, more of my complaints is the pacing. Of course, the fast pace can actually leave some character arcs feeling undeveloped, particularly in a story that tackles themes again when it comes to trust and forgiving, of course. The character element, like the main villain, this woman, in particular, has drawn criticism for lack of a satisfactory arc towards the end of the movie. So again, I know she's angry. I know she's pissed off. I know the villain of the story. She's really pissed off in a lot of ways, and the film kind of just rushed through that in a lot of ways. I mean, yes, I know the film does need to focus on the on the main character, this princess, which in itself isn't necessarily the issue. I don't mind if the princess character is the main character. And again, I can't stress this out. This is not supposed to be a smear campaign for Disney or Pixar. I like these companies, okay? I like both these companies. The companies are fantastic, of course. But however, I just feel like the writing in this movie just end up feeling unsatisfied. Again, especially with the evolution of the ending, I guess, the way it was resolved, and yes, again, the whole thing with forgiving, the message, yeah, message on forgiving and whatnot. The theme of forgiving is can be very important. I know that's funny coming from me because I'm not really the type of person to forgive because I'm not really that type of a person, really. I know that's more of a me thing, but I'm just saying though. But yes, while stories can portray the idea of forgiveness as a virtue, the context, like, of course, does matter here, of course, obviously. I just want to point that out is that the difference between siblings and the belief nature of, I guess, the brief nature of Raya and the other sibling, and what highlights complex and complexes in the narrative of the film goes over. This can lead to interpretation that may seem problematic and unrealistic in terms of emotional recovery from past traumas. Again, the villain character and our main character, when you think about it, I mean, yes, in real life, there can be maybe two sisters or maybe two brothers, maybe a nephew or whatever, maybe two nephews. Maybe let's say these two characters have very problematic past. It can be for whatever. It doesn't matter what that is. It's just the fact that they have a problematic past and whatnot, which will cause maybe somehow cause these two characters to fight each other, grow resentment over each other, or maybe it's just one of them. Not both, but one of them is jealous and angry over the other. Which was what kind of what was going on in this movie because maybe it seemed like maybe one of these two had a better life than the other, while the main character had a better life, but the other character had like a much worse life in a lot of ways. And even if the main character did have some trauma, and maybe the other character trauma may have seemed worse in some ways, but which there's like so much you can explore. There's so much in which you can explore here, folks, when it comes to siblings not liking each other. But yeah, at least in this case, one sibling really disliking the other. There's so much potential you could have had here. But again, my problem here is the writing. It felt oversimplified it felt way, way more overly simplified than it should be. I mean, and don't tell me that, oh, it's a kids movie. That's just a nonsensical thing. Like, yes, it's a kids movie. It's aimed for the whole family, yes, but that doesn't mean that the it should be lousy writing. It just seems like there's so much potential to go to hat here. Yeah, it's just ultimately one of my major pet peeves when it comes to Raya and the Last Dragon is that it's the writing. Again, I can't stress enough. I'm happy that Disney is having this kind of chance to have diversity. That's fine. I'm all for that. I just wish that the writing of the script could have been much better than what it was and whatnot. And then that's kind of another thing as well. Not every villain character should be redeemed. Really, no. It's kind of, I mean, again, it goes into the whole overly simplification of the movie. It always simplifies complex issues. Again, that's one of my biggest problems with this movie is that it overfinds everything. I mean, yes, it would be nice that everybody's gets mistakes to be forgiven. Everybody comes back together like they was before and whatnot. It would be nice if everyone could get along and live in kumbaya. That's great. I really wish it could be that simple. However, that's not very realistic whatsoever, especially considering the fact that this film is trying to be a bit of a drama. This movie is trying to have some conflict and whatnot. So this could give children the wrong impression that that's how real life works, which unfortunately it doesn't, of course. And not every villain should be redeemed. That's just not how it is. Not every villain should be redeemed. Yes, you could have an ending where the villain could be sent to jail or whatever. I mean, the character, none of the characters should. That doesn't mean the character should die. Of course not. Unless you want to go for some kind of dark ending, which of course had happened before in Disney movies. I'm not going to name any movie specifically because I don't want to spoil it. But yeah, I still have been Disney movies where the villain does die at the end of the movie, which I'm fine with. It just depends on what you're going to go for, of course, obviously. But anyway, I feel like the villain here. I mean, I know Disney is known. I know the Disney princess movies are known for having this happily ever after, but that's kind of the thing, though. And what works for some of these movies, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for every movie. That's the thing. Not every single villain in history should be redeemed. No, not always. And yeah, sometimes a bad person is a bad person. There's some people out there in the world, unfortunately, that are all beyond redemption. I, I know these two characters are supposed to be related. I know. If anyone tells me, I know these two characters are supposed to be related. I know. But still, even with family members, I guess that would make it more rough in some ways. Yeah, sometimes you can have a family member that's a real piece of shit. Excuse the language here, I guess. But some people can be a real piece of shit in and out. Unfortunately, that's part of reality. That's just how it is at times. And even your own family members will be like that. Unfortunately, I guess in this case it would have made it more traumatic. I think that would have made more sense if you ask me if somebody went to jail. Again, not naming names exactly, but I think that would have been better off if you ask me. If one of the if the character went to jail, maybe this is me though. Maybe I don't know. And what I mean, again, the character doesn't necessarily need to die or anything. I'm just saying, just putting it out there. I don't know, folks. But like I said, like I was saying earlier, folks, the pacing is probably the biggest issue I had with this. Maybe they could have done an animated series. Maybe I don't know. Maybe, I know the Little Mermaid had an animated series. I know no Aladdin had an animated series. You want to do it that way? Maybe put it would have worked. So a lot of these themes can be explored more properly. I don't know. Ugh. I don't know. Maybe just me, I guess. I just feel like this was definitely it was wasted potential in a lot of ways. That's what I took from this anyway. So maybe this could have been better off if it was been a series. Or maybe a slightly longer movie. Maybe it was a bit longer. Maybe that would have worked. I mean, ultimately, yes, what matters is the writing, but I just feel like the character relationships could have been explored further. Their their heritage could have been explored further, and maybe it would have been better with slightly slower pacing. Because I felt like the pacing of the movie, which it got to the point too fast. If you ask me, it got to the point too far too fast. Of course, I don't know. Just it's just something that could have been, and I don't mind the dragon character that was in here, folks. I don't mind dragons or whatever that's been in here. Sure, that could be in here, and I don't know. Just I just feel like this could have been so much more than what it was. Of course, and I remember watching this a while back. I good while. I never saw this in the movie theater, by the way. Even watching the trailers, it just never really caught my interest. I mean, yes, I eventually watched it. Sure, I eventually watched it. But I don't know. Just whatever, I guess. I mean, yeah, it just felt like it could have been the film itself as a whole did have some potential to be great, and maybe it should have been. Maybe it could have been a two-parter in some ways. Maybe save some ideas for another movie. You could do like a to be continued kind of thing, or maybe three movies. Do you have each one and two have a to be continued thing? I don't know. Could have done that maybe, perhaps. But I do realize what I'm saying here. It seems like rather nitpicky. I guess I kind of get that to some extent, I suppose. But it just seemed like just like someone to explore that could have been here, obviously. All right, let me just wrap things up because this video has already been going quite some time. Alrighty. Yes, I really, really do appreciate Disney's efforts to be inclusive. That's wonderful. That's great. They definitely should do that. They should incorporate different diverse cultures and experiences into the story as they should. So it's definitely a step forward in representing a broader range of voices, so to speak, I guess. Cultural representation, of course, does showcase, again, like I said way early in the video, this Southeast Asia cultures, which of course goes underrepresented in mainstream media, at least over here in this country anyway. So this clearly does allow for more, I guess, diverse storytelling and explores, I guess, exposes the audiences to different cultural stuff, traditions, and narratives, which maybe they otherwise wouldn't have anyway. So for this talented potential for depth, of course, many fans probably have the same statement that the film had potential to dive deeper into these cultural elements that they had in this film and the character relationships, a more focused exploration of the characters, backgrounds, motivations, growth, so on and so forth, just to name a few things, could have enhanced the overall narrative. The narrative complexity is something to think about with lots of ambitious themes such as trust, redemption, and forgiveness, as mentioned a moment ago. The story could have been benefit from, like I said, a slower pace, deeper character arcs to unpack all these topics authentically. So maybe this would have got a better reception from audiences if it's done more carefully, I guess. But anyway, that'll be it, folks. Just I don't know, just me rambling on for like forever, I suppose. While progress has been made, of course, greatly, but there's still room for improvement in how stories can be told. So anyway, that'll be it, folks. I guess there's some other things I could explore, I guess, when it comes to topics, but whatever, I'll just leave it at that. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching and take care, I guess. So I'm just rambling on at this point. Whatever. See ya. Oh yeah.